Welcome, everybody, to the Rye-Town Park Commission meeting of February 24th, 2025. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Debbie, please call the roll.
Yes. Commissioner Lindsay Jackson? Here. Commissioner Jason Klein?
Here.
Commissioner Emily Hurd?
Here.
I note Commissioner Louis Marino is absent, and I understand that Commissioner Josh Cohn will be joining us at a later point, and President Zuckerman.
Here. First item is approval of the November 19th, 2024 minutes. That was a long time ago, that meeting. Unless there are additions, corrections, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment on non-agenda items. Items on the agenda, we will take comments on as they arise. Seeing no,
I don't see anything on Facebook.
okay, moving on to our items of business. Briefing regarding the Tough Man Westchester Triathlon for the weekend of September 20th. Dr. Izzo, do you want to tell us what this is about? Yeah, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and how far along the path you have traveled.
I want to thank the board for giving me the time and being able to propose this. My name is Richard Izzo. I'm an athlete for the last 35 years that has been part of the 90s Westchester Triathlon Committee. We started a race in Croton Point, and that evolved into half Ironman, an Olympic distance triathlon, and a kids triathlon. Being part of the community because I live in Rye Brook, and being part of the triathlon community, I've seen the Westchester Triathlon flourish throughout the years, and it's been a great asset to the community, both for the athletes and for the businesses. And in the last 5 years, it had not gone on, mostly because of COVID. So we investigated whether it was possible to bring it back, and I'm happy to say that we've gotten all our approvals in line in front of all the municipalities that the event will go through. And we look forward to putting on a safe event and working with the police in each community to make it a safe event. And hopefully we can reestablish this as a great community event going forward.
Thanks. I have, Debbie, is this in the agenda package?
No, it's not.
Okay. Could you add this afterwards as part of item number 1? Sure. So that it's available to people who want to view the agenda and get a picture of what this is. Could you tell us what is a triathlon, which events you're running, and which communities the various events are going through, so people can get an appreciation of how large this event really is?
It's what they call an Olympic distance triathlon, and it's usually held the third weekend in September every year for at least the last 30 plus years. So it's got a great history, and it's always been done at Playland with some derivations, whether it was Rye-Town or not. It's 1 mile swim, it's a 25-mile bike, and it's a 10K run going through the communities of Portchester, Rye Brook, well, Rye City, Portchester, Rye Brook, Greenwich, Connecticut, Harrison, Rye City, and then back to Playland. That would be the bike course. The swim course will be a combination.
Doesn't go into North Castle.
No, we're going to be trimming that section for several reasons, but I felt for safety reasons it was a better thing to do to limit that to the course that we used to do 25 or 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then the run course will stay within Playland. We felt that it would be less stress on the community to have the entire run course go on the Playland boardwalk to the bird preserve, into the bird preserve, turn around from the bird preserve, and then finish off at Rye-Town Park, and that would be a full 10K.
Okay.
In years past, the event has been very large, but this year, as I told President Zuckerman, we're going to cap the event at 500 participants. That would be adults. We do usually have a kids race. That'll be the day before with an expo afterwards. And the kids race in years past has gotten as many as 350 kids to race. We'll be picking several charities to donate money from the event. We're hopeful that we can make the event a success this year so we can continue it into the future.
All right. Questions from the commission? Any questions from the people online?
We do have a raised hand here.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Izzo, Megan Corbett, 600 Forest Avenue. We remember this race from so many years. When you said several charities, will Friends of Rye-Town Park be one of the recipients?
We're looking at that, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's going to be a lot of wear and tear.
Thank you. Yes, no, we appreciate that.
Yeah, okay, so certainly consider them in your list.
We were trying to get the event off the ground this year, so the first things first, we want to make sure that I can pay for all the municipalities and the police that cover all the safety zones, but I'm committed to making it a community-based event that supports local charities, and obviously that's on the top of the list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I'd like a motion and a second orally to approve the holding of the triathlon on the weekend of September 20. 20 is a Saturday or Sunday?
Yes,
Saturday, 20 and 21.
I'll make a motion. I'm just noting that Farley has a proposed wine and craft festival on September 20th.
I would imagine the timing's probably different enough. I guess the question is for the
20
triathlon.
and
I think the
21?
triathlon is very early in the
How-
morning, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and how
That's
long
right.
is that expected to last?
Our
Yeah.
timeline, basically, which is listed in this, we should be done with the
Please, thank you.
Good pickup.
That's a great question. Both days of the triathlons should be finished by noon, before noon, in fact.
So sorry, what's the 20th? Is that
It's a children's race. and
Oh,
it'll
the
be-
children's race is on. I'm
And,
sorry. I
and,
missed-
and it'll be in the parking lot of Playland mostly, and it'll resolve over at Wright-Town Park, where there'll be the finish line set up.
And that starts, say, 9 a.m.
Approximately 9 a.m. Yes, that's what we're looking at in our timeline, 9 to 11.
to 11.
Okay. I hear a motion. Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Appointment of the Rye-Town Park Climate Vulnerability Study Stakeholder Group. I think, Debbie, you should tell us what this is about. Then I'll tell you why I'm a little upset.
So,
Don't try, do.
on a number of meetings over the last several months, we've mentioned the fact that Rye-Town Park is one of the inaugural grant recipients.
Debbie, hold
for-
on a second, hold on. Guys in the back. Thank you.
So, Rye-Town Park is one of the grant recipients of the first C grant for a Rye-Town Park climate vulnerability study. To be specific, we applied to C grant for a grant that would enable us to take a scientific approach to understanding the climate vulnerability of Rye-Town Park and develop strategies for hardening the park. This is a grant where we don't get cash. C Grant issued an RFP for environmental engineers and awarded that grant to a firm called Indigo River, which is now conducting this study on behalf of Rye-Town Park. Part of an essential part of this study is to make sure that the concerns of stakeholders is taken into account, and at every step of the way, stakeholders are able to give feedback and guidance to the engineer. So we have been seeking suggestions from the park commissioners for residents, for suggestions. We have 4 people who have been nominated. They are and have agreed to serve, and that is Juliana Alzate from Portchester, Tracy Stora, Lexi Tremeno, and Lucy Burkhoff from the city of Rye.
All right. I know all of these people, and Emily, I'm sure you know all the people from the city of Rye.
Yes.
It's a very, very good representation. Juliana Alzate from Portchester actually plays volleyball Monday nights at the beach and has a great interest in the park. I'm disappointed that we could not get anybody from the village of Rybrook nor from the Rye Neck section of Mamaroneck town of Rye. I think the committee needs to be expanded to include members from those communities to be fully effective. So I'm calling on people who have interest in Rye Town Park from Rybrook and Rye Neck to please contact Debbie and to make themselves known so that they can be added to the stakeholder group. Comments? If not, may I have a motion and a second to appoint these individuals as our initial stakeholder group for the Park Climate Vulnerability Study?
Make a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is our discussion of the restaurant Barley Beach House presentation for their upcoming season.
Hello, everybody. My name's Chris. I'm one of the owners and operators over at the Barley Beach House. Nice to see you guys all. Wish you all the best in 2025. Put together a quick slideshow presentation of everything that we're going to be doing at the Barley Beach House this upcoming year with your approvals, as well as some slides of just some things that we're doing now, just to kind of flow through the winter and try some new things out before the summer. So to start out, we're running happy hour now. We're down to, we're running minimal days over the winter. We're open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we're running happy hour every day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 4 to 7 p.m. That includes $5 beers, $5 off appetizers, cocktails, and wine. And of course, there's free parking. So no better place with a better view than the Barley Beach House for happy hour if anyone's looking for anywhere to go. And we're running that special every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Every Friday we do 50% off bottles of wine all day and live music from 6 to 8 p.m. Fridays, again, happy hour from 4 to 7. So we get a nice little crowd that comes in Fridays for happy hour and live music. It seems to be something that's working out for us. Also, everything you see here today, it's already on our website, so if you guys ever want to go back and take a look at all the specials and the events are listed up on the website. New brunch special that we started this winter, we're trying it out and we're kind of changing it week by week, and we're kind of running a test through the winter, and it is something that we think could be positive. We might actually want to run this special throughout the summer. It's a $55 an hour for $55 for 2 hours of food and drinks. So people could come in, they could sit out by the water, they could, you know, just order food off the menu and drinks and kind of hang out for 2 hours. We're getting a lot of positive feedback about it now, so it's been in our conversations the last couple of days about maybe even opening up earlier in the summer to try to drive the sales and bring in some more early sales in the summer. This is basically the menu that we're running now for the brunch. It's changing a little bit weekly because we're trying stuff. We're adding salads and stuff to keep it more brunchy, not just so much breakfast and lunch. So this is all the food items that you could actually order, and you could order as much as you want throughout the course of 2 hours. And again, this is all on our website, so you could check it out. This is the current winter menu that we're running. Pretty similar to the summer menu. We just cut down some items just due to the lack of business and reduced days. And again, this is something that we're always constantly changing and adding stuff in, pricing things out for the summer. This next menu here is similar to, or it's gonna be pretty much what our summer menu's gonna be looking like. So salad, sandwiches, appetizers, couple entrees, mixed in with the brunch menu too. So I would say this is about 90% complete with the, you know, couple changes in price and maybe a couple other items that might come in or out.
You're gonna decrease the prices, right?
Some of them.
As the price of eggs go down.
This, stop scrolling. The next slide is gonna be something that we're gonna try at the Northgate this year. We've always tried something different at the Northgate. Last year we did like pizzas and ahi bowls and smoothies and shakes the last 2 seasons. It comes and goes, you know, with the business. Sometimes it's good, most of the time it's just kind of stagnant. So we decided to take something that we know would flourish in the summer and try to push sales over to that building, that we could focus on it and make it a little bit, you know, a little bit more exciting for people. So we're gonna do soft serve ice cream, we're gonna do scooped ice cream, we're gonna do some fruit pops and some dairy pops over there. So this will be pretty much the menu for the Northgate this year. The only other thing that we're talking about maybe adding is crepes or donuts to this menu, just to kind of give it a little extra flair.
So you're not gonna fire up the pizza oven?
Parties, yeah, parties, events. And that brings us to the 2025 events that are upcoming this year. The Easter Extravaganza, we've done it the last couple years. We do basically 3 different events each day. We're gonna do this the 12th, the 13th, and the 19th before Easter this year. We do a VIP brunch that we do inside. It's a little bit more of an elevated brunch experience. And then we do the pancakes in the park, where we cook pancakes outside for the kids. We have the bounce castles, bubbles, live music, you know, and then we do an egg hunt for the kids. And then in the middle of the day, we do an egg hunt for the adults, where we give out some free tickets and passes to our upcoming 2025 events.
Should we comment per event, or how do you?
I'll take it, per event.
Go ahead.
Sure. I don't recall the Easter Extravaganza last year being multiple days. I know that's an issue that I am gonna have a problem with at all the events, is sort of a, I'm okay with a 1-day event, but I don't like the idea of the multiple days, because I think there was a lot of, number one, it's, you know, unless we get some kind of confidence that absolutely everything will be picked up at the end of the day, and then, you know, constructed the next day. I don't like that. And it's not something I'm gonna support. So I would support a 1-day Easter Extravaganza, but not a 3-day.
Okay, yeah, we did run it last year for the 3 days. The setup and stuff for it's nothing crazy. It's a couple tables outside in the park that people, they come, they sit, they eat real quick, and then we throw the eggs out in the park. I believe last year it rained, so we did it on the beach, and the eggs get picked up in like 2 minutes, and we do a full walkthrough, make sure everything's picked up and cleaned up, and everything's usually broken down right after the event's over.
And not left out overnight?
No. Everything gets broken down. The bounce castles leave every day, the tables and chairs, they all get set up each day.
I still don't know, I mean, and I'm happy to hear from other commissioners, but I don't know
Oh,
if it's
Josh is joining us.
diluted.
Hi, Josh.
Oh, sorry. Live music, yep.
If I were a neighbor, I would
this event specifically, so after last year, we ended up buying our own speakers and getting our own setup, so we're not bringing in any DJs for stuff like this. We're gonna be handling the music off a laptop and everything ourselves. And this event is gonna be right next to the restaurant. It's not gonna be out in the park or anything, so it'll be right next to us. And we don't really blast any loud music for this. And any given time when I do live music, all my live music, it all consists of it's generally one person, maybe two people, and one speaker or two people. I'm not really bringing in full bands.
When you said this, last year you did this on the beach?
No, last year we did it out in front of the restaurant, but the egg hunt, because I think it rained a lot last year and the grass was really wet, so we just did the egg hunt on the beach, and then we kept everything up at the restaurant in the pavilion area.
Can we do it on the beach?
I mean,
The whole thing?
I would probably say, yeah, I mean, I don't really see why not.
Is it an egg rolling or is it an egg
No,
finding?
I mean, you can't put the eggs out until they're ready to be picked up, because the kids just start running for them
Grab
as soon as
'em,
they
yeah.
see them. So we generally give them, there's 2 windows, for the breakfast, and we give them a time slot, and we go out there, we throw the eggs out real quick with 3 or 4 of our staff members, and it's 1, 2, 3, go, and in about 2 minutes, they're all picked up, and done. And I believe last year we had, we had a good amount of attendees for every seating.
I think that what Josh and Emily are getting at is it's less of a problem. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh and Emily, less of a problem with the event being held close to the Barley Beach House as opposed to moving it towards Forest Avenue and that part of the park. I don't think anybody has an objection to events on the beach or, around the Barley Beach House, around the bathhouse, that area, because it's nowhere near anybody's home, especially if noise is involved. And, the times that I've been to your events on the beach with the DJ, I thought it was fine. Everybody had a good time, and I don't think that the sound permeated. I'm sure you could hear it on Forest Avenue, but I don't think it was very loud over there. So I think that's what the fear is, and I think that what Emily alluded to also is that there was an issue of picking up. Okay, that's and
I
leaving
wasn't-
stuff overnight.
So all the events this year, none of them are by Forest Avenue. All of them are gonna be at the North Gate where we've held them previously, or like this one, it's right next to the restaurant. There's nothing out on closer to
Right.
Forest Ave this year. As far as picking up and cleaning up, other than last year's event with the Fall Festival, everything being on Forest Ave and packed up and left there, these events, all these other events, they're all cleaned
Well,
up
I think
after
that was
each
the event most people were complaining about.
Right.
That and what happened on July 4th. But other than that, I didn't hear of anything. Did you, Emily, Josh? Those are the big problems that we had.
No, but I'd like to get the perspective of, I thought I heard Megan Corbett.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can see you, yeah.
I'm here, Josh.
I'd like to get the Corbett's perspective on this event, and that will be a guide as we go through.
Yeah.
They are close neighbors of the park.
Sure, I think it makes sense.
Now it's good? Is now good?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I have to go over here. Hi, Megan Corbett, 600 Forest. Yeah, we had a problem last year with the Fall Festival being located up near Forest Avenue. Evidently, you're saying nothing this year will be near Forest Avenue, including the Fall Festival. Okay, the other thing, I feel like we're talking about a lot of days here. Commissioner Hurd just referenced that. How many days, Saturdays and Sundays, are we talking about in a year?
I mean, there's only 104 weekend days. The other thing is, it does keep people who live in the neighborhood from using the park because it looks like the park is full, it's jammed. And the other feedback I received from my posts on Facebook in the neighborhood were, I thought this was for the benefit of the park. And no, it's not. It's an event held by a vendor. And we receive, is it 6%?
Yes,
Not-
that's the arrangement with the concession agreement, 6% of gross receipts.
Okay, 6% of gross is better than 6% of net, for sure. But it's not a lot of money for what, the park is receiving and what happens there. Yes, sometimes things are trashed. Trash is left. People leave trash in the bushes and around the park. And it wasn't clean after last year's events many times. So how many weekend days are we talking about in a year? And 6%, I don't know, I'm feeling I'm pretty inconvenienced for not that much money. And if I'm inconvenienced, I want to be compensated. And I feel like the park should be compensated for the inconvenience. As you heard, we're already going to have the triathlon. That's going to be a slightly smaller number. I remember when there were thousands of people doing that triathlon. Your events, 4th of July, we have 3 beautiful holiday weekends in summer. That brings a lot of traffic to the neighborhood. So the neighborhood is concerned, not just me, noise, trash, and respect for property, to be quite honest. People are not always respectful of our homes as they go to and from the park.
I agree with you, they're not always respectful to us.
I'm sure. As long as all the events are down by the restaurant, I'm all for that. But the number of days would be interesting. Did you just do the math, Commissioner Hurd?
I did.
Thank you.
I looked at the Rye-Town Park calendar, and I excluded the 4th of July, and I also excluded all of the events that are inside the Barley Beach House or on the beach, because it looks like during the summer, that's what they are. So this is, in April, it's 3 weekend days, the 12th, 13th, and 19th. In May, it's May 10th. Then we move into Memorial Day weekend, which is the 24th, 25th, 26th. There's no proposed events. There's nothing for June outside of at the restaurant or on the beach. Nothing in July, 4th of July, obviously. Nothing in August. In September, there's Labor Day weekend, obviously, and then they have an event on the 20th. We have the triathlon on the 20th and the 21st. And then October would be 4 weekend days, the 4th, 5th, 11th, and 12th. So, it's really that shoulder season that's more impacted, the spring and the fall, and I think that's when residents really enjoy getting there because there isn't the crowd of the beaches. And I get that's probably intentional in order to draw people to the restaurant in that sort of shoulder season in the spring and the fall. I still really don't like the idea of sort of these long extravaganzas, covering multiple days. I love the idea of, the Easter extravaganza on a Saturday or a Sunday. I even would be okay, I think, with the idea of it being on 2 Saturdays, but, I don't know what to
I'd say one thing too about
Yeah.
multiple days. Just kind of to hop back on, to give an example of it, the first year that we tried the Fall Festival, we did it one weekend. It rained that entire weekend. We take a huge hit, between the staffing and purchasing everything, and forget about the time spent getting it put together and organized and putting it up there. It rained, we took a wash, which is why last year we said, okay, if we're gonna do this, let's, give us the opportunity to come in, be successful, really see what the event can do. If people are gonna be interested, not interested, can it hold out all season? Would it be only worth it for half the event? So last year we did it for 4 weeks. It was good for the first 2 weeks. The other two, I mean, if at best we broke even, you know, but, you know, for an event like that where we're purchasing thousands and thousands of pumpkins, like, you know, we kind of need the opportunity to be able to sell them. And a lot of times people can't make one day. So, you know, having another day is better. And then for an event like this and for multiple event days, but besides rain days, like, you know, if it rains on the 12th, we could always tell people to come on the 13th. If it rain, you know, sometimes it might rain that whole weekend, and then we could still have the opportunity to say, okay, you guys can all come on the 19th. So it does help us to have the multiple days, for sure. Because if this was to be like a one-day event, I don't honestly think I would run it, because I would need to have a rain date scheduled at some point too, which then I'm having multiple days.
And you
Anyway,
can't just have a rain date, like it's the 12th, and if it rains, it's the 19th?
it's again, I could do it, if it's one day, it's one day, that's fine. Yeah, I would need a rain date, so I would need at least 2 days for it, but, you know, for
Yeah.
the same thing for the fall festival. If the fall festival, if it's, you know, for 2 weekends, if it's gonna be a problem to have it 2 weekends, I'm not gonna run it. You know, it's imperative. I mean, in October, there's no business for us. It drastically drops off. Last year, the fall festival, it got us through October and November and probably half of December.
So just to make a point, the revenue that the park received from these special events was about $14,400. My biggest problem outside of neighbor complaints about the noise was the lingering items in the park overnight and for 4 weeks, looking at orange fencing and palm trees and pumpkins, and if there was a guarantee that everything would be picked up on the day of the event and returned the next day, if there was a follow-up day, that would be more palatable. But it was an eyesore. The most beautiful time in the park is when the leaves are changing and there's this like huge expanse of trees and grass and lawn, and that was like just totally interrupted in my mind by all of the stuff that was left every week for 4 weeks last fall. So to me, that's a non-starter. So if there's, you know, that's just my perspective on the multiple events.
Listen, I totally understand, and like I said, we try to do whatever we can to bring people to the park. It is a beautiful park, and, you know, I like to utilize it and bring people in and see what works for the restaurant and for the park, because I do believe a lot of stuff that we're doing, it's not just for us. I mean, this is a kid event. I mean, we go out there, we buy Easter eggs, we you know, we're not charging an arm and a leg for them. It's good for parents to come in. Kids are free under 3 to come in and eat. And, you know, so we do a lot. And as far as, if we take the fall festival out of last year's events, because I get it was by the road, the setup was there, it was 4 weeks, it was long. I've never had an issue with there being a mess in the park. I stay after every single event and I walk through the park, and I always call Russ to find out the next day to make sure things are clean, you know, in the morning, because sometimes we're cleaning late at night. So I get it, I understand. But by no means do I feel like we ever leave the park a disaster, because it's always priority for me to make sure that everything's picked up.
Yeah, no, I'm not, you guys do a great job. I'm not suggesting that there is garbage left. I didn't experience that. It was just the
setup and
Setup,
everything,
yeah.
how it was left there, which I understand. And, you know, for the fall festival this year, I do want to move it towards the north gate, because I am respectful of it being out by the road. You know, we thought it was a good idea to keep it over there, to let people see it as they're driving by, to come in, to bring them into the park. But I think it could be better on the other side of the park anyway, by the north gate building, you know, if we bring people down there. So I don't think you'll be able to see anything from the street, and I don't think it'll be a disturbance.
Can we perhaps settle on the Easter extravaganza being 2 days? That is, 1 day on one weekend and 1 day on the next weekend, and the fall festival being 2 weekends?
The fall festival is 2 weekends right now. It's the first 2 weekends in October, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, so that's far better than 4.
Mhm.
Thank you. Can we trim a day out of the Easter extravaganza, but still keeping it on 2 weekends so that you have that rain day flexibility?
I mean, yeah, I could just trim the 12th out of it, but. you know,
Or the
like,
13th.
Or the, yeah, well,
As a quick question, last year you said you did the 3 days.
yeah.
Did you sell out on the 3 days, or was it kind of sparse?
Well, selling out is hard to
Right.
figure out that number is when you're in the park, but no, it was very good, all 3 of the days for us.
I mean, I happen to appreciate these events. I think it does sort of bring attention to the park. I think it brings people into the park. And even people from the surrounding communities. They may not be in the direct vicinity, but people from Mamaroneck, people from Rybrook, and people from Portchester whose tax dollars support the park as well. And it also gives us sort of pride to have events like Suds on the Sound, the wine festival taking part in our hometown park. So I am very appreciative. I think you guys, have taken the concerns of the residents and really worked towards improving a symbiotic relationship. And I'm grateful for that because I know business is hard.
Thank you.
And ultimately, you are contributing to the park, and we appreciate that as we go through our budget this meeting.
And with the extravaganza, you had mentioned, I think it had been suggested possibly just to do the egg hunt on the beach.
Yeah, listen, we did it on the beach last year because the ground was wet. I'm not opposed to doing it on the beach again this year. I think it gives it a cool aspect of everything.
I just have
going on.
a question for staff on that.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a difference?
I would prefer, if the conditions permit, if the conditions allow for it, that the ground is not soft and really sodden, that the Easter egg hunt, it's not a hunt, there's no hunting involved. They scatter things, the kids, they drop the rope, the kids go and get the thing. So these are relatively small plastic eggs. Some are filled with toys and some are filled with candy, all right? If we throw them on the beach, they're inevitably, there's gonna get sand kicked over them, and there's no guarantee that we can recover them all. When they're on the grass surface, if the ones that get missed, we find them, and we can easily pick them up. So.
Are you telling me you eat all the candy? Don't tell the kids.
That's right.
I don't know if he's looking for the candy or the toys.
Exactly.
So just from
I'm guessing candy.
for an environmental perspective,
Right.
I would, because there's so much, it would be so much easier for them to get hidden in the sand. So, but look, if the conditions don't allow for it to be in the park, then we have to do it on any given day on the sand. We'll just try to, we'll try to keep it contained best we can, and run the beach rake a couple more times, but I don't think the beach rake can pick those up. The tines aren't big, they're small.
Pretty sure.
Is that at the same time as the Daffodil Highway is blooming?
It's usually around that time, I feel like.
What's your date?
The Daffodil Highway?
12th, 13th, and 19th.
Of April?
A little early? Yeah,
It might
okay.
be a little bit up. Certainly the shoots will be up, but
Mhm.
not, they won't be, probably won't be in bloom.
I mean, either way, it sounds like, if it's not on the beach, it sounds like there's certainly an opportunity to move it away from the road. And
It's not.
It already
it's
sounds
it's
like-
nowhere near the road.
yeah, it
It's
sounds
right
like
by the restaurant. We
the
go right
DJ
out
and
the
everything is-
restaurant, right by the path. And
Right.
again, the speakers. It's 2 speakers, which are probably smaller than anybody brings to the pavilion when they set up for a party there.
And you'll face them away from Forest Ave.
Yeah, and it's faced in. Nothing's going to be out pointing towards the road. Everything is right outside the restaurant.
Right, I mean, and, like Lindsay was saying, from sitting up here, and having been to these meetings and having heard the concerns of the residents, it sounded like last year was really bad, like for people who live there. And it does sound like you're taking into concern, you're taking into consideration those concerns.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's been heard.
Yeah,
is
last
the
year
sense I'm
when
getting.
everything was going on, like it was our first year doing it. We were trying to get the energy up and the excitement up. So I'm sure things were a little you know, out of whack. The first day we had the DJ, the first weekend we had the DJ, he was gone. The second weekend, we didn't have him anymore. We got our own stuff, set up our own computers and everything, so we didn't have to deal with that. I would have moved the event, but the problem is that when I file stuff for these events, the liquor permits and everything, it's all filled out, sectioned to the park, how everything lays out. It's not something that could just be picked up and moved. It's a lot of work that goes behind it as far as the setup of the events go.
So maybe you can detail some, just for, you know, the public's edification, detail some of the changes you're making to keep in mind the concerns of the residents at all the events.
Yeah, I mean, I run all the events pretty much the same. I try to make sure everything's safe. I try to make sure, you know, we always have enough security. We use Green Mountain Concert series for our security. It's one security guy for every 70 attendees at my event. So I'm basically coordinating with them, and then I'm in touch with Al Green from the police department, who's in touch with Michael Cohen about the events, and we discuss all the events. And I'm in touch with those guys up until the day of the event, giving them the head counts and what's going on with it. You know, so we have our own security. You know, the police is there for the events that they feel the need that they need to be there for. I have my staff there, and it's, you know, we just kind of put everything. All the events are different, so it's kind of hard to explain them all at once. But you know, we've never had an issue with any of the events, other than, again, like the Fall Festival last year, where I get it, the music was loud, the setup kind of was a sore eye in the park, even though it was beautiful when everything was up and going and the pumpkins were out and people were there. Like, the vibe was good, it was nice, you know, and I think it's imperative that we keep stuff like that and outdoor stuff going like that. I mean, it's a beautiful park. It's a shame if it's not going to be used. You know, at some point when we started, you know, at the restaurant, you guys had somebody that was trying to do events in the park. We're doing them. You know, I feel like it works out for all of us. And, you know, and we do charity events. You know, we did several charity events, and, you know, I want to put some together for Friends of Rytown Park too now. I was talking to Russ about that earlier this year. So, again, I think it's, you know, everything seems to be going in the right direction, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback on these events, and we're building followers and people that are coming back to everything that we do.
And I think you guys have done an awesome job with utilizing the Peak and doing the concerts. I know, you know, I think it was 2 years ago for Father's Day, and Michael Fronte, which is my father's favorite singer. So it worked out perfectly. And I know also I saw something on Instagram, and I was showing my stepdaughter because she's a huge Noah Kahn fan. And you guys had Noah Kahn before he was Noah Kahn. So, like,
we like to think we made him famous.
Exactly. So it's a great source of pride to have.
Oh my gosh, Gary.
Would
Would you guys like me to do a little rendition?
I would say.
I'm like, yeah.
No, I want to echo what Lindsay said. I think you guys have been a great partner with the park. Parks are for people. You're bringing people in that would not ordinarily come to the park. They enjoy your events, and then they come back. They can enjoy the beach. They can enjoy the park. You know, there have been glitches, as was pointed out, in a couple of instances, and I think you're making a good faith effort to address those glitches so they don't happen again. Not that there won't be other glitches that we are unforeseen, but the ones that were last year, you've taken steps to address, and I think that you know, everybody enjoys your presence there. I think that it's a whole different atmosphere than the restaurant occupants that were there previously. And
Gary, if I may.
Yes, Joss.
I don't think everybody enjoys the presence. I too am pleased with Barley's efforts, but I would like, for instance, with respect to the Easter extravaganza, to hold it to 2 days and not 3, in deference to the fact that the neighbors and others who are happy with a passive park can enjoy their neighboring park or coming to a passive park. And I'd like us to be considering that as we go through the schedule of events.
Well, Josh, my view is that I don't think it makes a difference 2 days or 3 days if it's not bothering anybody. But if that's how you feel about it, and, you know, that'll get your acceptance of this, then fine. I think that we're not gonna make it perfect. I do not believe that the perfect should be the enemy of the good. And I think that what we have, we can at least make very good. And if it doesn't work out this year for any event, then we can adjust it and we could close it down. That's how I feel.
I don't know, sorry, you wanted to speak, but can you also address whether or not the Easter extravaganza was an issue last year?
Could I?
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm Mike Corbin, I'm a local attorney. I've had the pleasure of living in corner Oakland Beach Forest overlooking the park for 40 years. And I just want to thank the commission for that. I'm really moved at how fast you've worked. And if Chris, we have no objection if the events are in the rear of the park. So, great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me propose this solution.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut the baby in half here. So I don't remember the Easter extravaganza causing a problem. But what if the two dates were Saturday, the 12th and 19th, and on the 12th, you had a chance for a rain date on the 13th?
When you're talking about the weather, you can't really predict it. It's no different than it being the
Chris,
13th and the.
I'm probably older than your mom. I've done events for more than 20 years. Sometimes it rains and sometimes it doesn't. And there's costs and planning involved. I understand this as a entrepreneur and a restaurateur. You take these chances. And you could just say, hey, I'm only gonna do it one day and hopefully the weather's good.
Right.
So I'm offering you 2 Saturdays with a rain date of Sunday. If you're not willing to concede that, I'd understand.
No, it's not.
I
I
wouldn't
want you to
be-
think I'm not willing to. Listen, I'm here to give you guys.
They're gonna decide.
Guys, enough, stop, enough. Mrs. Corbett, it's not for you to offer, it's for the commission to decide. I understand your suggestion. My feeling is, personally, I think that 3 days are fine. They're gonna be away from Forest Avenue. They may very well be or not be on the beach. And I don't see that there's a problem with the 3 days that he's suggesting. And there's probably a good chance that one of them is gonna be rained out. Of course, that's what happens in April. It rains. So, they bring the May flowers. That's right. What are the flowers that we have?
The daffodils.
The daffodils. They bring the daffodils.
And I do want to point out, and one thing I do appreciate is that it's not when the Daffodil Highway is
Well, I
in
just
bloom.
looked at my camera, and April 15th is when they were mid-bloom. So they were, I can show you, and I know it's different every year. I think last year actually was a weird year a little bit, but I did just pull up this picture from April 15th. But I know. It's sort of,
There's no conflict here, because
Yeah.
where Chris holds the event is
It's
down
not
by
near
what
the
what they call the Fountain House, that little pagoda that's right down in the field, down in the lowest part of the grass field. It's on the other side of the center drive. It's not even remotely close to the daffodils.
I have another suggestion, and I think it probably draws people to the park to see the daffodils, which are so beautiful. What if we approve the April-May events and look at the reviews of the April events before approving the October Fall Festival.
Debbie, the computer.
Oh.
Timed out.
I mean, that is a prudent solution. However, I would argue that it is a business, and I'm assuming that you need some lead time to market.
I need a lot of lead time
Time.
to market it and to get all the approvals from the SLA and for the liquor licenses and the permits and everything.
And
So I am already running, like, even for the Beer Fest, I'm behind on that because the meeting has been pushed and everything, so.
I'm with Lindsay on this. I think that all of these events have been basically held before. There's never been a problem except for the ones that we've spoken of. And Chris has addressed those problems. The events are being moved close to the beach, if not on the beach. And I think we ought to give him the opportunity to run the business, which is, after all, a partnership with us. You know, and the residents, I understand that some residents may not want all of this activity, but it's not every weekend, as Emily has pointed out. It's not all the time. And I think that if we give them the chance, then we'll see how it goes. And if there is a problem, we can say no at any time.
Well, not if we approve it right now. So he was just saying that
Well,
he's approving.
no, I disagree, Emily. We can approve it on condition that we don't run into the type of problems that we ran into last time. A conditional approval. I don't think there's gonna be a problem. I am hopeful that the neighbors on Forest Avenue, including the Corbetts, will find that these events are not intrusive in their way of life. And I'm sure that they will let us know if they are. So,
That you may have no doubt.
Mrs. Corbett, we have no doubt.
And I just wanna hear that everything will be cleaned up after every event, every
Yeah,
single day.
Absolutely. These events, I think this is our 4th season for running every single one of these events, with the exception of the Fall Festival, which last year was really our first year doing it. But like I said before, it's always priority. And you could ask Russ, he's at, you know, he's the guy on site all the time. After all my events, we stay, we clean up, and sometimes we're there really late at night and it's hard to see, but we're back there bright and early. I have guys that are there 5, 6 o'clock in the morning cleaning up, making sure everything is up and out of the grass. I don't want to leave garbage anywhere. I don't want that to be.
I don't mean
when
garbage, I mean,
anything.
yes, okay. Setup.
Yeah.
Equipment.
I can't leave anything out because it gets destroyed. You know.
Yeah,
All right, are we
Okay.
ready to move on,
sure.
please?
I think everybody feels satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask for a formal motion. We understand what the situation is. You're running events, and we're gonna have oversight. And Russ will have oversight. Right, Russ? And if there's a problem, we're looking to you. Your butt is in the sling, if you will.
you won't be bribed by Easter eggs and candy,
Gary, I
right?
believe it does, the concession agreement says that I think the commission does have to
Thank
vote.
you.
We can vote next month if you want to review the agreement or check with Jeff.
It
But-
says what?
That in the concession agreement, the park commission has to approve the menus and the events,
I think we approved the menus, didn't we already?
that they're up now.
No, we had not approved that.
I'll make a motion to approve the menus.
Yeah, like, we're not gonna approve them. Second,
I'll second.
all in favor of approving the menus? Aye.
I,
All right, I mean, if we can review this if there's any problem, but frankly, I think we need to allow Chris to go ahead and make his plans. And I'm looking forward to a very successful season with the Barley Beach House.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Wait, does that mean we need to vote or?
No,
Okay.
I mean,
I think it was a voice vote just now?
Yeah.
On the menus.
That was on the
but-
menu.
On the menu.
Yeah.
I think we're conditionally approving the calendar.
Okay, motion to conditionally approve the calendar.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh, we
Aye.
do-
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't hear any no's.
No.
Okay. Moving on. Debbie, the next couple are yours. This should not take long. Resolution authorizing the commission to engage Pond Lake Connection to maintain the Rytown Park Pond. This is something we do every year. The total amount is, at the bottom, $6,482.50.
The only change is occasionally, if you recall, several years ago, we had a DEC provided, funded grant to eradicate invasive species, which was enormously successful. That was a 3-year grant. We have been free of Phragmites pretty well. Our staff has been maintaining. We need another shot of Phragmites removal, so this proposal contains that. But other than that, it's the same as every year,
All right.
just with the, the
Yeah, and,
modest
and,
increase.
and are we not applying for a new grant?
We are applying for a new grant, but not for Rytown Park.
Oh, okay,
The grant that is open right now is very small,
okay.
and it's,
Okay, motion and a second, please.
Sorry, what was the amount last year?
yeah. Give me a second to look, please. Well, that's the question, but I'm just looking up we got this so long ago, I don't remember, so I'm gonna have to look.
That's the cost of the Phragmites treatment. I don't think we raised those.
Because it changed over.
So it looks like last year was $4,870. No, I take it back. It was basically $5,500.
Okay. Further questions? Did you make a motion?
I didn't know, I was just asked the question.
Are you gonna make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Debbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yep.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Next item is a resolution to retain PKF O'Connor Davies as our accountants for audit purposes. They've been the auditors forever.
So it looks like they have a basic fee and then they have additional services.
Yeah, Debbie, what is, was the fee this year increased?
4%.
Okay.
It's better than the Phragmites.
Luckily, we have no invasive species in our books.
I just noticed that in our resolution, there's no amount listed, Debbie.
Oh.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, if you look at the budget,
This is an annual 4% increase?
Yes.
it says, it says that their basic audit fee is $17,000 and that their hourly rates increase by 4% each year. But I'm not sure about the,
Debbie, do we need to do this month?
No, we don't.
Let's put this over,
Okay.
redraft this appropriately. The next resolution was brought up by Jeff. He's going to be on Zoom. There is a discrepancy between the off-leash hours for dogs in Rytown Park between the Park Commission and the City of Rye. And Jeff has advised that the two should be the same. The danger is, of course, that if somebody gets hurt by a dog in the time where the City of Rye has not allowed off-leash dogs, and yet the park has, that would be problematic for the park. Jeff, are you on?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about this, please?
Section 76-5 of the Rye City Code indicates that during the hours of 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., dog owners can run their dogs at this designated area in Rytown Park, which is demarcated by a map that's made part of their code, which basically is Forest Avenue, Rye Beach Avenue, and the Duck Pond area, an area bounded by that. And so I just feel that we should be in conformity with the Rye City Code.
how did this come up? Were you reading the Rye City Code?
Rye City Code 76-5.
Yeah. My question is why and how did this come up?
Why and how did it come up? Well, we've had some incidents at the park.
Russ wants to speak. Because my suggestion would be that we speak with the Rye City Council about amending the Rye City Code to conform to our off-leash dog policies.
Okay, well, this came up because we, at the request of some people, we extended the off-leash hours during the off-season to take it from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., all right? But so now that's out of compliance with the City of Rye Code, all right? And in recent days, as I'm sure you know, there have been numerous problems with off-leash dogs, not in the park, but around the City of Rye, and there've been and the police have been contacted. There have been injuries and so on and so forth. So we felt, the park felt that unless the City of Rye is willing to change the code, that we needed to be in compliance because they govern it.
I think I'd like to take this to the Rye City Council.
That's fine. However, in the end, until it's changed, I think we need to be in compliance with the city code.
Nothing's happened at the park, though.
No,
That's beside the fact.
Elucidate you on
Yeah.
one or two incidents that have happened at the park.
Like in the last couple weeks?
Recently.
Mm-hmm.
What's
I-
happened at the park?
I think, Emily, I don't have a problem with your suggestion of talking to the Rye City Council of amending their law. But I think that we need to be in compliance with what the city council has determined the law to be. I think we run a danger if we do not. Jason?
I was just gonna say, I mean, to me, this sounds like a liability issue.
Yeah.
Fairly simply. I wonder whether we could put something, designating in the resolution, that it can return to 10 a.m., when if approved by the
I
Rye City
had this
Council.
discussion with Jeff about it when he wrote this, and I said, well, why don't we put something in to be, if the city council changes its policy, our policy will change. But I don't think we need to do that, because I don't know how long, if the city council decides to change its policy, they could either change it immediately or take 8 months. Josh, you would know better than I how the city council would operate on something like this. However, we know that,
Gary, if I may, we've had people who have had problems with off-leash dogs in the council chamber over the past several meetings, complaining about lax treatment of off-leash dogs. So my thought is that this is not really an opportune moment to be approaching the council on this issue.
Right.
Obviously, if people feel otherwise, sure, but among Rye residents, there certainly has been some movement to restrict off-leash dogs, not in the park, but generally.
no, I'm in agreement with you, Josh. The purpose of this resolution is to put the park in conformity with the city. That's all it does. If the city changes its policy one way or the other, if they make it more restrictive or less restrictive, we could follow suit the following meeting. I think we can act a lot more quickly. There'll be less controversy with how we would get it done. But I think that if we are in non-conformance with the city ordinance, we leave ourselves up to, open to possible litigation and damages. So I would like the park not to be in that position and to, follow the lead of the Rye City Council, however they decide to go. If they don't want to change anything, that's fine. They don't have to.
But this is frankly, I feel upset that nobody reached out to me, knowing that I'm the one who advocated for this extension, and that now, in a day's notice, we're gonna have to, I just think it's crappy, frankly, and I don't think that there have been any issues that I know about at the park directly. I understand there have been issues in the city. I mean, I read about it on Rye Moms all the time. None of these are incidences that I read about during off-leash hours at Rye Town Park. I think there are very limited areas and hours where you can have your dog off leash, and this is a great benefit to dog owners in the community. So, I find it just annoying that we constantly, are worried about prospective liability. And I also think this is a Rye City Code regulation that was passed, I don't know how many years ago, 10? and never been looked at again. So this isn't, we're not following anybody's lead. We are,
Emily, with all due respect, the fact that the Rye City Council has not looked at it is not a concern of the Rye Town Park Commission. The Rye City Council has its responsibilities and will see fit to do whatever it sees fit to do, and led by Mayor Cohn. But I think that we're in a position where we're not in compliance. I mean, Mayor, is it your position that the commission has independent authority to set dog ordinances without regard to the ordinances set by the city council?
That's not my position, Gary.
I know, I was being, Josh, I was being rhetorical.
I would encourage Emily to come to the council, come to the next council meeting, state the case as she stated it, and let's see if we can get to 10 o'clock for, just for Rye Town Park.
I mean, I have been walking my dog, I think, or had my dog in that area for, in April is going to be 11. So for quite some time. And I was in favor, and still in favor with having it till 10 o'clock. I think that's reasonable in off-season hours. However, I think I also separating someone who has a passion for dogs, has a passion for utilizing the park, has a passion for having her dog utilize the park, and being a fiduciary of the park, I think we have to act in the most prudent manner for the time being. And given that this is leaving us vulnerable to litigation, I think we have to take that into consideration, as much as I hate even suggesting it. This is something that's new to me, but again, it seems like it was something that was done quickly. Right, Jeff? This kind of came about in the past week or so.
I'm just trying to understand what happened.
I mean, the best way for me to answer what happened is that there's been this sort of slow motion development of concern based on incidents that keep happening either in and or around the park with off-leash dogs. I mean,
We have not had one person come to a meeting to address a concern. So that's what I'm asking. What are you talking about?
that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. There have been some incidents in the park with off-leash dogs. Russ can elaborate on that, or Debbie.
Well, I can speak to the fact that in past years, we absolutely have had incidents with aggressive dogs and dogs that have not been controlled by their owners. We've had, we actually have a disability claim from staff who were attacked in the past. So those things have happened. They have not happened in 2024 or 2025. We're also have been aware of what's going on in the community as well. And it's our responsibility to have discussions about, is there something that we're not doing correctly? Is there a correction that we should make in order to protect the park?
Sure, absolutely, I get
And-
that. And it should have come up, I mean, legally when we extended the off-leash hours 2 years ago, and then agreed to continue to extend it, but I guess we missed that. And so I just don't understand why there's a sudden groundswell. But I appreciate the liability point, even though I think it's annoying. I'm a lawyer. I think, I guess I get the fiduciary argument. I'm just still trying to understand why suddenly it came up. But I guess I'm not going to get to the bottom of it, so I will leave it there. I'm happy to go before the Rye City Council, and I'm curious to know what the enforcement will be, or the how this will be sort of noted to off-leash dog park users.
Well, we're going to need to put up signage and inform them. And other than that, we are not changing our staffing policy. So we have who we have, and we have heard loud and clear from the Rye City Police that this is not an area where they are interested in participating in enforcement. So we're on our own.
Without further discussion, let's have a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. Debbie, call the roll.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
No.
Commissioner Cohn,
Reluctantly, yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Thank you. And we can revisit this next month. Resolution to authorize retaining Tony Casal to regrade the beach at Rytown Park for the 2025 season for a fee not to exceed $20,000. Debbie, you want to talk about this?
Yes, at long last, our grant for restoring the beach has run out. We spent all the money last year. Actually, it was part by the requirement of FEMA. So we're now back to our annual preparations for the beach season. We issued an RFP. We have 3 proposals. The most competitive, the lowest responsible bidder is Tony Casal Inc., which, interestingly enough, is the contractor that did the beach replenishment, so they know the drill. And their proposal is actually slightly under 20,000, but close enough that I thought it was only fair. I just rounded it. So that's where we are. By the way, it's a better price than we've gotten in years. So.
I remember once we spent like $35,000 for this.
That's right.
Okay. Any questions? Motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second, or do we not regrade the beach?
Second.
Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Okay, now we get into the budget part. Resolution to authorize the implementation of season permit, daily beach, parking, facility rental fees for the 2025 season.
Gary, can we discuss?
Yeah, sure.
I do have a couple of questions following from questions that we asked Debbie, Emily, and I, and Debbie responded. And so with reference to Debbie's responses, we had asked why we do not raise the non-resident weekend and holiday beach fees. And we'd raised the question even when we were bound by the 2X requirement, because we could have done so within the 2X requirement. And Debbie answered that I suppose a loan had looked at a 20% increase and had not come back with a consistent trend, and therefore felt that we shouldn't raise. But my question would be, well, why don't we, as we have done in other cases, raise it $1 or $2 per person, and try to take advantage of our ability to increase non-resident income when we find ourselves now persistently in a situation where, though we're shooting for break even or better, we really don't come out with margins that seem to resist the seasonal risks that we face, and we come out deeply in the red anyway, which to me means that we should be trying ever harder to get to black. And with that in mind, I'd suggest that we raise these rates $1 or $2 per person per time.
Which rates are you talking about, Josh? Daily rates?
Non-resident, weekend, and holiday rates.
So the weekend is 20 and the holiday weekends is 25.
You're talking about the daily rates.
Yeah.
Okay,
and-
the daily
and
fees.
Alone looked at 20% increases, and he didn't, I understand that the model.
I apologize for
The model
interrupting.
produced ambiguous results, but I think we can go with $1 increase or a $2 increase and take that chance and try to just do a little bit better. And really in conjunction with that, I would ask, because I don't understand, we were told that outliers were removed from those calculations statistically, but there was no reason given for the removal of outlier years. And my understanding of statistical analysis is admittedly slight, but I do know that you don't eliminate outlier data unless there's a good reason to eliminate outlier data. And no one has shared that information with us.
So we're talking about, let me make clear, we're talking about beach rates, correct?
Non-resident holiday and non-resident weekend beach rates.
So are you're proposing that instead of $20 per person on the weekends, we charge $21 a person?
Or 22, if we want to take that chance, I would, or 26 or 27 on the holiday rate.
You know something, I don't know that we have any proof one way or the other. This is not a hill upon which I wish to be hoisted on my own petard. Okay, we're gonna leave. So right now, the residents are at 12, the proposed rates, so the residents are at 12, non-residents are at 20. And that's for weekends. Holidays are residents 15, non-residents are 25.
I mean, you're talking about.
So we're talking about
I mean, you're talking about for a family of $400 to go to the beach, and I don't know how much revenue that's really going to increase.
I mean, I'm worried that once they see it going above 20 for a weekend, I know the holidays are 25, but we only have 3 of those. Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day.
my concern is that the increase in revenue,
You mean the increase in fee?
well, the increase in fee, and ultimately what the increase in potential revenue will decrease beach usage. So we're gonna,
Which would decrease the income. In other words, what is the elasticity model? If we increase from 20 to 22, will that mean that we have 100 fewer people using it and lose money? Or will it not?
Gary, we
I don't know the answer to it, Josh.
Avon looked at 20% and got ambiguous results. I'm suggesting that we look at 10% or 5% and give it a try. Or we can ask A-Loan to model it. But I would like to understand why A-Loan has thrown out outlier years in his modeling. We've been told that he's done that. Those outlier years are weak years, and we don't know why those years were thrown out.
I think those were COVID years, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think that the years were, I have it right here.
So I just checked with Ruby, who worked with A-Loan on the elasticity model. The issue with the outliers is that, some of the years were just so out of pattern that he didn't do the elasticity model didn't work for daily beach admissions. So we were just multiplying, units times price, coming out with a number. So I can't, we just don't have any means of predicting when the public is going to turn around and say no mas. I can tell you that we all remember 2019 when, actually that was Russell Gold's first year, and we came in and felt that we, had such a fabulous beach. We absolutely could and should raise the fees, and we did. And the result was a plummet in unit sales. So it's something that we're always careful of. The Park Commission, I don't want the Park Commission make any choice that you choose, that it's entirely your prerogative with regard to the rate.
So just two quick things. The outlier years were 2023 and 2024, so they were not COVID years. And I think that an increase of $1 or $2 is not, like as Mayor Cohen said, A-Loan was looking at 20%. We're talking about a very modest increase in a situation where we had an original budget that was deficit. So,
Yeah, but it's a surplus now.
We're looking at
Not
modeling.
March.
I understand what you said, Debbie, that the difference in the outlier years is extreme. But I don't believe that by itself is a reason to throw out an outlier year. And if our modeling just doesn't work, then we should face up to that if we're shooting in the dark and figure out what our tolerance for that is.
Josh, let me just ask the others. Jason, what is your feeling on it? I mean, we're talking about going from 20, leaving it at 20, going to 21, going to 22. And the same thing, leaving it at 25, going to 26, going to 27.
To me, I think the going a buck or two on the 20 probably isn't going to make a huge difference, would be my guess. But it's that to me seems minimal. When you start to get from 25 up to 27, I think people maybe balk at it more, but it is holiday weekends. But again, like you say, it's a question of, what percentage of people are you going to lose for that extra $2, and, and does it become worth it? Are you going to make it up elsewhere because, prices are staying similar, among the residents? I mean, I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer, but Josh is kind of adamant, Emily is kind of adamant on that, so, we'll increase it, we'll see what happens. The one thing that I wouldn't do, though, is change the estimate of the income in the budget. increase the rate and just see where it goes, leave the budget, the budget is at a slight surplus, I believe, Debbie?
Yes.
So let's just leave it at that for the budget, and we'll increase the rates.
And I'm just curious also, because I noticed that the change was in 2023, of how big that change was.
It rained for Memorial Day. I don't know.
No, he means how much did we increase the rate?
Yeah, so we increased the fees 2 years ago.
Was it
For
No, it was,
weekend,
but it wasn't
versus-
2023 where we
versus
had
weekday.
utilization really drop.
So-
It was 2019.
No, I know. I'm just curious
What it was before.
what it was before, because I thought it was.
I can tell you, Jason, the years for non-resident holiday beach sales in 2022, 23, and 24 were respectively 2,065, 2,520, and then in 2024, 366.
No, yeah, but he's asking what the rate was in 2022.
Because we raised the rates in 23.
to $15
To
versus
15.
2025.
Yeah.
I think we raised it by $5 each.
I think
Is
we
that-
did.
Remember?
That's what I remember as well, which was significant.
Right.
You know, and so I'm just conscious of not trying to, but I mean, $2 on the weekends, you know.
So let's raise it to,
And the change, the outlier year was 2024, it wasn't 2022.
Mhm.
The year when it just fell off extremely was 24.
It was 24.
And that was with respect to non-resident holiday rates. For non-resident weekday beach sales, 23 was the outlier with a precipitous drop.
well, you know something, let's just take a step back. Josh, do you have a suggestion as to the number that you would like to live with here on each of these?
I'll take $1 on each, that is.
Fine.
Resident weekend rate and non-resident holiday rate. That is, they're both non-resident. And if we can come up with, through that, with an extra $4,000 or $5,000, that'll help our margin a little.
Fine. I'll go along with that. Emily?
Yep.
All right, so let's do that, okay? Any other question on the fees? Can we approve the fee
The
schedule?
only question I had.
Oh, yes,
All
sir?
right, I did have a question, because it seems like we're significantly dropping the passes on the non-residents.
The only, the senior, hold on, the senior non-resident pass is staying the same.
Right.
Right, we're actually dropping the we're dropping the non-resident single, and we're dropping the non-resident family because the elasticity model
Right.
projected that the drop in price would in fact result
Right, so it
in
was because
an
of
increase in sales.
So we dropped the permit fee for non-resident singles by $103. And we dropped the non-resident family rate by, so bad at math, 61?
Oh, those are only each one, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's when we were following the 2x model, and a loans elasticity model showed that we would actually make more revenue by dropping the fees. That's why it's there. In other words, all of these fees are designed to maximize the income.
Let's hope that.
None of the,
modeling is
and none of the resident rates were raised, correct?
correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there we have it. With that, can we approve these?
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
Guess I'll second.
Any further discussion? Because we have to open the portal, otherwise we're not gonna have any money. We're gonna have to go to the
Yes,
city
right,
and the
this
town
one-
to fund the beginning of the season.
Okay, are the facility rentals are part of this same
Oh.
resolution?
Yes.
I just want to make sure you know what you're voting for.
So the resident nonprofit, what does that include? Is that a resident sponsoring a nonprofit organization?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, okay.
It's like the synagogue or
Russ,
the
come on up.
art center.
All right, so it's a nonprofit based within the town of Rye or the city of Rye. Thank you.
And we do get requests from those organizations.
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Library, nature center, religious
But
institutions.
the point we're trying to make is that, like, if I wanted to host an event, but, you know, for a nonprofit, but the nonprofit is based in Chappaqua,
Right,
they're not eligible,
they're a non-resident.
all right? It might be a worthy organization, but they're not eligible for the 50% discount. However, if the nonprofit is within the town/city of Rye, and that's where their 501c3 is located, then yes, they are eligible, but only those.
I like the idea of the shortened rental period. I think it'll be popular. And it makes it more accessible, I think.
Yes. Okay. Further questions? We have a motion. We do not have a second. Right?
Second, I did.
Who made the
Wait,
motion?
who
They
made
just
the
didn't know that
motion?
we were including the pavilion fees, or they didn't.
Who made the motion?
Lindsay.
I did.
Okay,
Jason
motion and a
seconded.
second. Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner should I skip?
Commissioner
Skip. Come back?
Jackson.
Skip, yeah.
Yes. A yes vote?
Skip?
Yes.
Commissioner Klein.
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn.
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. And now, the discussion of the budget itself. Is there any discussion? Josh, I know you had a lot of questions that Debbie was answering, Debbie and Ruby.
I do have one question after Debbie's answers, which I really appreciate. And I also offer this question with great appreciation for Debbie's efforts. But in the effort to save money and looking at the administrative costs that the beach runs, that is in excess of $100,000 a season, and looking at where we might be able to ask for some, how can I put it, some concession to austerity. With great appreciation for Debbie's efforts, I'm wondering if we can ask her to actually contribute less of her time to the park. And
I would love that.
Let me.
Sorry.
Please finish. That's with a view to understanding that Gary puts in time, and Russ puts in time, and Vic puts in time, and then there are several admins and a controller. And again, with appreciation for everything you've done, Debbie, can we ask you to try to do less to essentially help the park break even?
I think that, I'm not gonna allow Debbie to answer that question. We can fire Debbie and hire somebody else, but Debbie spends the time necessary to get the job done. I would suggest, Josh, that Debbie spends more time on park issues than what is allocated in her salary. I'm guessing that the time she spends on the park is probably closer to 50% of what she does, then, what is it, 30%?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know the time that's spent. I know the time that I spend on the park. And I know that people watching from the outside, well, it's a park. It takes a lot of work. And Debbie and Ruby, especially in the office, spend a great amount of time on this. You know, it's not just the daily, it's, you know, applying for the grants, administering the grants, dealing with the personnel, and all of those things that's responsible. So I think that it's, her time is well spent, and we are presenting a balanced budget. You know, there are other items in the budget that I could mention, you know, that the city of Rye could cut back on. I'm not asking that. And you know what they are. You know.
Yeah, Gary, and we can't cut back on those things, and I think those are fairly rendered.
No, okay, well, I'll mention it. I don't think that we need to spend so much money on police during July 4th, okay? I think the amount of time that they...
We have a professional commissioner of police who tells us what we need to keep people safe.
And I have a question...
And that's not my judgment, and with respect, Gary, I don't think it should be yours.
That's assuming that they spend all of that time there, Josh, which has been brought into question as to whether they are in fact spending the time allocated. I don't even want to get into that at a public meeting right now, okay? But I think
Just did. You just did, and I'll bring it to Commissioner Kopi.
Fine. Do we have any other questions about the budget?
The event coordinator's salary, that's the transition from Rye Town Park staff covering events to Crawford?
That's correct. And to be honest with you, not knowing exactly how much work was going to be entailed in picking up, you know, the event coordination, you know, it's a round honorarium kind of a number. It's $1,000 per. We have 2 people here who are working on it. They're each getting an additional $1,000 for picking up the additional scope of work.
As far as the differential between the 2024 adopted budget and the 2024 actuals, I see that there is some budget lines that went over. Are we expecting to see budget transfers in the next couple of commission meetings, or how are we handling that?
I am going to defer to David Burns on that.
I don't think that we've ever
Done transfers.
done
I'm just
budget
really
transfers.
haven't.
I know
What does
that's
that
a
mean?
sore spot with you,
I am.
but I don't think
Yes.
that we've done budget transfers.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, you know, those, like, for example, I'm looking at, and this is the one question I have, software subscriptions. For 2024 budgeted, it was $23,000.
What page are you on, Lindsay?
I'm sorry, 138. The 2024 actuals is $31,000. For 2025, we're budgeting $27,000. What accounts for the differential between what was budgeted and the actual? And are we better off increasing the 2025 budget to account for that?
We've checked, we checked our subscriptions. The 27,000 is, and Ruby, I'm gonna ask you to confirm for me, please. But I believe it's the projection that we received from ITS, which is the company that is the single source for our permit portal software and our parking enforcement software.
And then for, again, I see for tree maintenance, it went from 25,000 to 28,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back to 25,000.
We, you know, it's hard to predict exactly which trees are gonna fall down in a given year, but we're determined to handle it judiciously.
And then for utilities, we budgeted 2023, the actual cost was 69,000. We then went to 60,000 for the 2024 budgeted. That figure turned out to be 13,000 more at 73,000.
That's why we're at 74,000 in this year's budget.
No, we're looking to budget 66,000.
Are
That's
you
the-
looking at the budget book that we printed for you? Because that number changed over the weekend.
Oh, so maybe I'm looking at the old document. I apologize.
It's okay.
You know me with my highlighters.
I would also give Mayor Cohn credit because he observed the anomaly. And in fact, when we originally set the utility expense, we didn't have the year-end financial statement, and we do now.
Okay.
So we made the adjustment.
Okay. That was the only kind of glaring.
Emily, questions?
No.
And then the I'm sorry. The grant income for 2025, that's not in operating, that's in capital, correct?
It's actually Cap Z, What does Cap Z stand for? It's the administrator costs spent for Tropical Storm Ida.
Okay.
Been a long time coming.
So goodness willing, the paperwork has been complete for months. And we actually took it out of the budget when we thought FEMA was anyway, it's,
Yeah.
we've been, we think that we're gonna get paid. Right, exactly.
Yeah, and congratulations to Ruby on following all of these things up. That's what she does, to make sure that not only do our applications get filed, actually Millennium does that, but she follows up with them, and once that's applied for, total follow-up on what's happening with it, and when we get a grant, where's our money? That's the hardest thing, because some of these administrative agencies take forever to get the paperwork done. We are in the middle of that right now with our bathroom interior, because our state grant, which we have, we're waiting for the contract, and we're trying to find out on whose desk is that contract that has not come before us. But it's sitting there somewhere. Anyway, so we're that's what that number was. Any other questions, Jason?
Is there any federal money that we're relying on outside of this FEMA grant of 19,000?
Oh, yeah.